Hey, what's going on, LK Dubs? How's it going? This is the first time I've ever done this, so I hope I hope things aren't like too loud or too quiet or whatever. Um, yeah, hope this works out alright. Anyways, I'll show you what I do in Sytrus here. Sytrus. Um, so what I always do is I always set it to default so that everything is blank, everything is set to the same. These are all the oscillators, they're all set to the same thing. They're all doing the exact same thing. So, yeah, I never start with like a patch or anything like that. So what I usually do is I'll go to oscillator 1. I'm trying to do this as fast as possible, by the way, just so the file size of the video that I'm making isn't super huge. So I go to oscillator 1, I set this to 0.5, and I don't quite understand these because it's the hertz, this is the actual pitch of the oscillator right here, and this window is like multiplying that. So I don't really get this, but I use this thing anyways because it seems to work. So I set this to 0.5 for oscillator 1. And this matrix over here, these numbers all correspond to the different oscillators. So for instance, and these numbers up here too. So for instance, oscillator 1, these first row of knobs all mean that like this knob, operator 1 is affecting operator 1. Operator 2 is affecting operator 1. So it's going kind of like an L shape. Operator 3, operator 4, and so on and so on. For this first row, all these knobs mean that all these oscillators are going to affect operator 1. So this operator 1 being set at 0.5, it's pretty much just bass. I'm going to change the pitch down an octave so that it's bass, sub-bass that is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that operator 2 is affecting operator 1. So now it sounds kind of like this, and you'll notice operator 2 is set at 2.0. And that is actually pretty much the sound of the wobble, or a wobble. I can set it to 1 and it will be a little bit different. Basically the rule is you want them to be the number of the affecting oscillators to be like twice or even numbers or multiple. Not sure how to describe it, but you don't want like, for instance, like 1.8. You want it to be an even number or go into each other evenly. You know what I mean? I hope so. Anyways, yeah, you want it to be like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. You don't want like point really anything. So this could be I could just set it at 1, and that's the sound you get. And what I usually do, or it took me a long time to figure this out. So when you move these knobs, you can't automate any of these knobs at all. You can just set them to a static value. So in order to work around that, to make this actually wobble, you have to automate the volume knob, which I didn't know was there for the longest time, of the oscillator. So you have to make this move, and I have to set the microphone down for just a second. So in order to, you'll notice how it's at 0, or in the center of the knob, it's at 0. And that's because if you turn it to the right, it's positive. If you turn it all the way to the left, it's negative. So it's like a phase thing. So what I'll do is create automation clip for the volume of the oscillator. And in order to make it not go all the way down when you're automating it, you have to, even though there's a little check here, you click on link to controller, and it brings up this menu here. And then you go to, internal controller. This is the automation clip that I just made. And this is the mapping formula, which is really important. You click on this little arrow here, and then go to last half. You'll notice this is the slope now, instead of this point being all the way down here. You hit accept, and now we're off to the races here. Let's see. Make this go to 9. Do this. Throw some notes in here. Okay, I'll do something like this, just for the hell of it. And so now it's going to play, and this automation is going to make that volume knob go up and down, which is pretty much the wobble here. And you can do really crazy automations this way. And another thing too, in Fruity Loops, for some reason, you can't. If you try to copy the clip, it'll affect all the clips. So what I do is I just make one long ass clip for the whole song, throughout the whole song, and just change it in different places according to the song. And yeah, it's better. I think it's better than using an LFO if you're trying to do some crazy wobble, because you can get really detailed. Like if you set this to thirds, and do some crazy shit like this. Watch. Let's see. And this thing will also make it bend instead of being just a straight line. So anyways, maybe I'll make it, oops, make it loop right about there. So there's my main automation. And if I want to, I can do what I just did to oscillator 2 or operator 2. I can do that for all of the 5 other, or 3 or 4 other operators. So like operator 3, you can just turn that up just a little bit. You can change this to pretty much whatever you want. It'll sound crazy, as long as it's an even number. And you can create a new automation clip, or you can link it to the original one, but link it with a different slope so that it's in, like, for instance, when this one goes up, when operator 2 goes up, it'll go down according to the automation. But anyways, that's something cool you can do. You just set it to default and make sure that remove conflicts is not on, because that'll screw it up. Anyways, read the help file about that. It's interesting. But what I'm going to do is create a new automation clip for that volume knob in oscillator 3. And click on link to controller and last half again and accept. And now I can make a different shape for this oscillator, so it will come in at different times in the wobble to make it sound even crazier. Let's see here. Let's see what this sounds like. Yeah, you can do this for all the other oscillators, have them do different things, make them come in and out. One thing I think is cool that you can do is, on the fly, make it do the exact opposite of what the top automation clip is doing. See how these are inverted? So now it's mirroring it, so whenever this one goes up, this one goes down. It makes some, you can get interesting sounds that way. You can do whatever you want. It gets as crazy as you want to get, basically. and there's more to learn about Sytrus as well. For instance, let's see here. Like, you can send this through these filters, you can send them to the effects with a reverb, all within one Sytrus patch. Chorus, anything you want to do. It is crazy. Shit is ridiculous how much you can do with Sytrus. But yeah, I recommend reading the help file. It is very helpful, hence the name. Other than that, just experiment with it. Experiment with the automation clips, making one long automation clip for the whole song. That's the key, I think, to doing this, and making tons of different crazy envelopes and stuff like that. So anyways, I hope this one works, this tutorial works, and I'll see you later. Peace out, LK Dubs.